Welcome. I'm excited about this video because I wish I could have watched something like this before I jumped into life abroad. And again, for those that know, I started living abroad back in 2014, and my first time abroad was in 2012. That was my very first international trip. I studied abroad in the UK, and then I got an internship at that same university, and then figured it out from there. But yeah, my journeys have been very random. And if you saw one of my posts that I made on Instagram and Facebook and Threads, I was talking about having a Vietnamese SIM card, a British visa, storage unit in South Africa. Just very random. Like my life was all over the place. And I feel like for many years I was living in multiple places. So it was a bit chaotic. But I wanted to share these three things that I think you should consider or keep in mind before you take the big leap, which, by the way, in just a week, Passport to Peace workshop is happening. There are literally like 7 tickets left. So I know it's going to sell out. I just want it to sell to the right people. So if you are literally wanting this, you already know that you need this. You just need the guidance. There is no commitment. You don't have to say you're moving abroad next year. I always tell people to start with a month at a time and then 3 months a year just living abroad and see if it's something that you want full time. So we're going to talk about all of that. Check it out. I'm very excited, and I'll put a link here to make it easy. Okay. All right. First thing, so I live in Bangkok. Bangkok is one of my bases, but I'm in Bali, and you might be like, well, what are you doing in Bali? At this point, I might as well consider Bali a second base. But the first thing I wish I considered is every country's rainy season. And rainy season is like something, I don't know if this is just, I don't, it's not just islands, but I'll give you this example. So Bangkok is incredible weather from like October to May. Yeah, I would say May. And so it is they don't really have winter, they just have wet and dry. And many countries are like this. If you are in the US and you live in a state where you get all 4 seasons, God bless it. I lived in Kansas for college, and that was my first time experiencing snow. And I was like, hail to the na, to the na, 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 hail to the na. I can't believe I did that, knowing that I would not edit that out. I'm sorry you had to sit through that. Okay, so yeah, rainy season is basically like the bad season in terms of weather. So, I mean, Thailand is amazing because you don't get snow. You don't get, yeah, you don't really get really cold temperatures. You just get a lot of rain. And yeah, that can be scary, especially when you consider like floods happen globally, but floods are never fun to be in. So Bangkok right now, when I was here in Bali a couple weeks ago, I was here for to run my mastermind event. And usually I stay a couple weeks, then I was going to head back to Bangkok. And when I saw the weather, I said, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. And you see this sun? Like, yeah. And even Bali was getting rain. Bali's rainy season doesn't technically start until November, but it got scary for a second with some floods. So even with that, you have to be really mindful that, yeah, weather can be something that's just, it's hard to navigate. So I do my best, and especially with Stefan, we do our best to be in countries during their peak weather season, but not their peak tourist season. So I don't know many people that go to Thailand in the winter time. So it feels like just the best time to be there. It's just very chill. And the weather is just, I remember, a week after I signed my lease, I was walking outside of my building, the complex, the condo building, and I'm just like, the wind was like it wasn't blowing in my face, it was gently caressing. And I just felt like I was hugged by the air. I was just like, and maybe I'm like romanticizing the moment a bit because I'm like, wow, I just signed to have a condo in a country that, yeah, I just never, let me get some water. I get um I get really excited talking about this. And so I often trip over my words. And I don't want to blame ADHD, but we do get overpowered by our thoughts. So in moments where I am blurting things out, it's because I have five competing thoughts all trying to make its way out of my mouth at the same time. And it's a lot. It's intense. So whenever I feel it happening, that's why I get water in those moments. Just wanted to make a sidebar. Okay, so Bali's great season. I would say the best time to be in Bali in terms of weather is like April, May, June. Avoid July, avoid August, and then come back. September is amazing. October even is great, usually. I think, well, what's interesting about Bali, I would say the center of the island, Ubud, gets the most wet temperatures. So in any part of Bali, it might show on the forecast that it's raining, but it might be raining in just one village or area. But there's always going to be a sunny part of Bali during this time of the year. So yeah, check the rainy season when you're, especially when you're going to visit. At the workshop, we're going to talk about what it looks like to actually plan your visit to, see what it would be like to live there. So just make sure that you're visiting during a month where the weather is good so you can get, yeah, have a quality experience. Okay. Number two, friendships. It takes even more intention to maintain friendships, whether locally or in the new country or internationally. And my friends are all over the world. That is like a blessing and a curse because I can never have a get together where we're all in the same city and like, hey, y'all, let's all just meet up. And so I was often the friend that was planning like the annual meetups and the get togethers every year because I was like, I don't know how else I'm going to see people. So that takes a lot of intention. It takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of effort. And I think here was the hardest thing that I learned like 10 years ago. Um, People make sometimes value the strength of a relationship or a friendship based on proximity. So the minute you move and you're no longer in walking or driving distance of a person, the friendship suffers. And so sometimes we confuse, yeah, a, a friend who's in close proximity with the friend who we think is a powerful connection, or a personal connection, not powerful. So yeah, I think that was like it was always hard to navigate because you you I don't know want to call it like a dance, but it's like, okay, how often are we now checking in on each other? And are you noticing when it's one person checking in more than the other? How do you navigate that? Do you have a conversation? Do you kind of just let the friendship fizzle out? And I'll be very honest, in my communities of expats that where we talk about stuff like this, most of the time, like friendships just fizzle, and it's not by anyone's wrongdoing. It's not anyone doing something wrong or just there's no conflict. It's literally just, oh, when the convenience is removed, the friendship suffers. So, who are the friends that are worth you inconveniencing yourself for to communicate with? One of my good friends, we are a good 15, 16 hours apart. And when I tell you, it might take a day and a half for us to catch up in terms of location and schedules, but we are so committed and intentional with our friendship that it's so solid. And obviously, her life gets busy, my life gets busy, but there's no yeah, there's no pressure. It's just safe. I even have one of my friends, like we're couples friends, like me and Stefan are friends with him and his wife. And so it's like, yeah, I really love situations like that because you can check in on both people and you almost have like a four-way connection. But sometimes we go like a couple months, we check in maybe quarterly, and that doesn't feel like no one is like, oh, it's been 3 months. That's the established rotation. I don't know, but it just works for us because we both understand, both entrepreneurs, both navigating lots of big life changes. So it's just healthy when I think there's just a mutual respect of, we both would apologize, like, sorry, it's been a couple months. Sorry, it's been a month. And then eventually we got to a point where it's like, there doesn't need to be pressure. Like we check in when we check in. So sometimes you just have those spoken agreements, and that's really nice because it feels very safe. And yeah, it's just, it's dope. And then you have some friends where there might be a life change. Maybe someone gets pregnant, someone gets a new job, someone moves, someone yeah, is going through like a personal crisis, someone's on a healing journey, someone's going through a divorce. Like there's all of these things that happen on a regular basis as humans. And we need to be so mindful of that so that you're not internalizing or taking any type of separation personal. And I remember when I was trying to hold space for a particular friend going through a divorce, I I just like asked. I was like, what feels suffocating in terms of me checking in and me wanting to support you and me just showing up for you. Like I didn't want to lie and like pretend I knew what to say and what to do. I'm like, you can absolutely shoot me down if I offer something and you're like, get out of my face. Like, because when someone is grieving, I want us to be okay getting friendship wrong. And this is where I'm like really oof, really like when I have a loss, family member, friend, or otherwise, I'll rarely share it publicly because people don't know how to hold space for grief. The most triggering words to me is sorry for your loss because it feels like a pity dump. Like, oof, sorry for your loss. Of course, that's not how it's being delivered, but it just feels so distant and disconnected. And so when I want to show up for a friend, I try to do it in the way I wish friends would show up for me. Like, get it wrong. I want you to send flowers that I don't like. I want you to send food that I won't eat. I like to see effort. And so I'm the effortful friend where I will show you through action that I'm here for you. You can reject it. You could say you're not hungry. I'm going to send food anyway because I want something to be in your fridge. I don't know when's the last time you're eating because you didn't text me back. So I'm going to just send food. And, but that's like, the type of friendships that I sustain because there's a mutual understanding of like it takes action and effort. It's not just empty words of solace and oh, it's like I'm gonna hop on a plane tomorrow if I need to. Like, what's up? What are you going through? And so it's really nice to have like a good five friends where I'm like, we mutually hop on planes to show up for each other. And I don't take that lightly. And that's why I'm so mindful and uh yeah, passionate about like what it takes to sustain the friendship. Um, yeah, and I think when it comes to friendships in the city that you're moving to, that can also be interesting because I think in the past, let's say I lived in Barcelona for a year back in 2014, and I was outside of the central area, so it took me a good 90-minute train ride to get close to where the action was. So, I mean, I guess technically I was living in Spain, not the center of Barcelona. So if I wanted to I don't know, be social. It was a full day event because that's a 3 hour round trip just to commute, not the hours that I'm spending at the event or at the social gathering. So I had to be mindful with like, okay, what's my actual capacity for this? And do I always want to go there or can we find a mutual spot where we meet halfway? In one situation, we just took turns. Like I come to you, next time you come to me, and that was great. And we did that. We'd go to each other's places and like that worked. And I think sometimes maybe if someone is in your city, there might be an expectation of how frequently you might hang out. And I think it's okay to have those conversations. One person might be more extroverted or more social. The other person, maybe I don't know, they really like their solitude. I have a lot of friends that really thrive in solitude. And so I don't take it personal when they're just like, they don't have anything going on and we can pencil in like one uh what do you call it, meal a month, where we just go to a restaurant or we experience an event together. And like that's enough for both of us. We're communicating in between, but we don't have to feel forced to be like, every week we got to hang out. And sometimes I think proximity might confuse people for closeness. So yeah, I'm just mindful that, yeah, could communicate. Okay. Mike, is that a spider? Listen, we in the jungle after all. Yeah, so just communicate your expectations so that it doesn't get weird because it absolutely can and it will if you don't allow yourself to say, hey, this isn't what I want, or this isn't what I need, or here's what I have capacity for. Here's what I enjoy, here's what I don't enjoy. And I think for me, it's always easier for me to meet someone for the first time in a group setting versus one-on-one. And I kind of mentioned yesterday that anytime I come to Bali, my DMs are blown up with like, oh my gosh, you're here. Let's meet up. Let's meet. And people don't realize that like I am one person and they don't realize that they're probably one of 50 to 100 that are asking for the same thing. And so it can seem mean if I don't respond or if I just say I don't have time or space. But the reality is like, yeah, they're not judging, they're probably not seeing the full scope of yeah, like the water. It's like a lifeline. Yeah, imagine. Mm. A little commotion for the scenery, y'all. This is my first time doing a daytime video in this place, and it's like glorious. Yeah, so I the best way for, like I said in yesterday's video, like you have to be doing ish in the world. And it's not that you got to have followers. It's nothing like that. I don't even need to be tagged. It's not about social clout or anything. It's, I want to see that you are actively doing something in the world that could carry a conversation. Because if I carry the conversation, I'm working. And I love my work, but I love it because I get to schedule. I have my boundaries around my work. I know how much I want to work per week, per day. And so if I'm working in unscheduled hours when I'm supposed to have downtime, yeah, I'm gonna be like, oh, okay. And mind you, I love creative collaborations. I love doing podcasts with creatives. I love jamming out with entrepreneurs. But again, these are people who are like doing the work. They inspire me. I am like, yeah, like the conversation is like a ping pong match. Like I throw something, they throw it back. That like that feels like a great event to be around. But if one person is like serving all these gems and the other person's like, I don't know. But the other person can't throw it back. It will feel like a very one-sided conversation. So don't let that intimidate you, mind you. Like I'm saying all that because I also know that when I'm around heavy hitters, that I'm like, sheesh. They got 8 and 9 figure businesses, and I'm here with my little 7 figure business. That also is intimidating, but I also know what I know. And I also know how many years I've put in. I know what I can do, and I've had to do a lot of self work and realizing, yeah, I deserve to be at this table. Because, yeah, we're all lit in different ways, but I can hold my own here. And one of my favorite memories is at a mastermind. It was Brendan Burchard's mastermind a couple years ago. And I had the floor for something, and I'm just like casually talking, but then I drop a couple gems. One could say they were gems. And a couple resources. And I was shook, shooketh. Mind you, again, there was at least 2 billionaires in the room. And when I tell you we're in this circular table, the way people crowded over in their notebooks and the way their wrists started swaying, I said, what? N word, what? This is a cool feeling. But no, what I also want to commend is that that shows that to be a high performer, a high earner, you always have a student mentality and you can always learn from someone. It didn't matter what my income was, it didn't matter if I had a big team or not. It's like they heard a powerful line, a powerful resource, a powerful gem, and they wanted to take that down for themselves. So, yeah, I say all that to say that being mindful of the community that you build, the friendships that you sustain, it takes work. And I think someone that does this really well, Amber Aziza, you got to look her up on Instagram. She relocated to London. She got a Brixton Bay, her boo. She met her husband in London. And again, this is another, wait, this is a perfect segue because number three, the thing that I wish I knew before living abroad is how much more it opens you up to the dating pool. Dating abroad is it's an Olympic sport. Let me say that. I think the best continent to date, if you don't know what you want, that sounds bad. Water. Okay, when I say you don't know what you want, it's not about physical preferences. It's not about like, I don't know. If I had two, maybe two serious boyfriends all my life until I met Stefan when I was 33. So I had a boyfriend at 18. I mean, that lasted like 3 months. He cheated on me and got a girl pregnant. Thank the Lord. Sometimes you are free. Sometimes your trauma frees you. Like when I tell you that happening at 18, when I look back, and first of all, I think he went to jail. There was a whole lot of chaos, but just God is so good, y'all. Imagine I went to bat for a dude like that. And I think a lot of the um there's a quote that says, you attract the person at the level of the love that you have for yourself. And that's really powerful because I had such low self-worth and I wasn't hit on ever. Like I was again, that video is coming about what it's like to have mediocre beauty as a Black person. Like Black girl mediocre beauty. Well, we're gonna have that conversation, y'all. It's gonna be loaded and layered, and I need to build my capacity for the things I want to say because it could be uh yeah, could be a whole thing. But yeah, I grew up never being hit on. So I didn't know what it was like to dress for the male gaze or to have the male gaze. So this was a person that I thought was way out of my league. He was a model and a basketball player. And yeah, we met at a basketball tournament. Our universities were playing against each other. And yeah, he like on the spot asked me to be his girlfriend. And then Valentine's Day, he flew down to where I was. Then he flew me to New York. And yeah, it was like first, I'm amazed that that was like my first long distance relationship. And that didn't scar me from doing long distance with Stefan. But anyways, yeah, it was it was just when I think about that was before I knew that I wanted to be child free. So imagine I was the recipient, like I was the one that got pregnant. Imagine how much different my life would have turned out. This was before I studied abroad. This is before I ever traveled abroad. This is before I had my blog abroad. So, so much of my life in my 20s was like, and let me say this. I remember once that happened, I was like, I'm so grateful. It was so easy to walk away. I was like, oh yeah, nah. Nah, we're not doing this. And so of course, like hurt, shame, just frustration, the betrayal, all of that surfaces. Yes, that's what music is for. We have great breakup music for all of that. But then I remember feeling like, okay, let me go hard on like my passions. And so the next decade, I literally spend making as much money as humanly possible online, building my brand, exploring different passions, trying out broadcast journalism, TV, newspaper, writing, blogging, studying abroad, ambassadorships, like pitching, hotels. Like I'm doing the most, but what I appreciated, what that taught me is like, find out what you want to do before trying to merge your life with someone else's. Because a lot of us, and I say as young women and as girls growing up, we think the ultimate prize in life is to be married. The ultimate prize in life is to be chosen. And so everything about the way we move and the way we're perceived is to attract the male gaze, is to be chosen, is to be, I don't know, one of the few lucky ones in society that get picked. And it's such a disservice to the life that you can build for yourself. Because once you figure that out, you can then go into dating with a more whole approach. You're not looking for someone to complete you, you're looking for someone who already enjoys their life. And y'all combined have a dope life together. So, yeah, I feel like with dating abroad, And specifically in the continent of Europe, I'm not saying European men are superior and they're who you should go for. I'm saying that Europe is the center of the world. And so, whatever your preference is, whatever you are looking for, or if you just want to see a variety, like what do different cultures act like? I mean, you will there was one week, and I'm gonna say what do you call it? The rules that I had for myself when I was single. I was sober and celibate, so I said no alcohol on these dates, no sex, no, and it's daytime only. So we're doing things that are active. I'm dressing very casually. We're going to a coffee, we're going to a cafe, we're going to a bookstore, we're going to do something active, we're going bowling. And this might sound basic and like, no, I want him to wine and dine me. Girl, that gets old because they play so many games when they do that because they think they get you. And so I don't want to be romanticized. I can romanticize myself. I romanticize my own life. What a man needs to do is bring emotional stability, maturity, intelligence, intellect, just high IQ, high EQ. I want to learn from a man. I want to learn like from your world, from your perspective, from your experiences. I want to create experiences together. So all of that has nothing to do with you bringing me a bouquet of roses at a fancy restaurant that costs $300. That does nothing for me to feel safe with you or to trust that you are someone that can hold my heart in the long term. Okay. So Europe geographically will attract North American, South American, African, European, Asian, Australian, New Zealand. All people congregate in Europe. It is literally the place where you think of a city like Vienna, Austria is one of the most, you would never think, but one of the most diverse cities that I've ever been to. And yeah, you'll have Middle Eastern men, like every type of men. So when I say that I was doing my like week of like figuring out what cultures are like Monday, coffee with a Jamaican man, Tuesday, coffee with a South African, Wednesday, coffee with a German, Thursday, coffee with a Fijian, Friday, coffee with a Bajan. And I just, I allowed myself to experience different cultures in a different way. And I think what it does for your own perception, and obviously you also get to decide, if you have a preference, you get to decide whether you want to drop it or not. And when I say preference, physical preference, if you want them to be a certain culture, a certain religion, a certain, I don't know, speak a certain language, you can always have that preference. And I think for a long time, my preferences were like, okay, Black, obviously, Christian, um, taller than me. I'm 5'8.5", 5'9" with this bun. Okay. So I need 5'10" on a good day. Oh, I'm 5'10" with heels. So I was looking at 5'10" or higher. And I think when I met Stefan is 6'1", 6'1"-ish. I think at the time on the dating app, I believe I dropped my preference to like 5'8". Yeah, I think I was willing to be like same height. So all of that, whatever you can picture exists, but you have to decide what are the cultural norms that come with the preference that you're going for. And this is not about the passport bros or the passport girls and any type of exotic fetishizing of interracial or intercultural relationships. This is literally just saying, actually, I don't know what I want and I don't know who wants me. And what I decided to do, because dating in the US, I didn't feel desired by Black men. And if you're a quirky Black girl, you will relate to this. Like, you kind of just, you feel a little too nerdy for Black men in the US. And so you, you don't try to be, I don't know. You can try to dress like you think they would want, but if that's not you, why would you do that? So eventually I got to a point where I'm like, okay, I remember even in middle school, you know, um, like a Raymond. You're like, oh, okay, Raymond's with Sally and Susie and Samantha, but give him a few months and maybe he'll be with me. But it's like, no, he just goes on to Rebecca and then Rachel. And then you realize, oh, you never get chosen. And so obviously that could traumatize you if you are really hell bent on like, I'm supposed to be the one that's picked by the black men. And I was like, oh, okay, they're just not choosing me. And so the biggest shift that happened in my dating life was when I realized choose who chooses you. It sucks as a woman because if you're in a heterosexual water, if you're in a heterosexual relationship, the way it's supposed to go is that the man courts the woman, the man proposes, and the man kind of dictates the timeline of everything. Of course, women, have the conversation and let them know your expectations because best trust and believe. I think we had the conversation of what do we both think is healthy for in terms of dating someone and proposing to them. And I think my timeline, I was like 18 months on the high end. I think it'll take me a good year and a half to really feel like I can, live my life with someone. And each day we are both in the longest relationship we've ever been in. So that could also both be confronting because you both are like navigating, okay, we made it past 3 years. Like, okay, and each day you're breaking a record with yourself and each other. But anyways, I think even though we both said like 18 months, I think he said a year, I was like a year and a half, even though we both thought that that was what was needed, we are still at the 3 year mark learning something every day about each other, learning something different about like, wait a minute, is this a new habit or did you just hide this really well for a year and a half? So yeah, even if I were to say like, I don't know, I would say don't compete with the stories that people tell you. We met, we got engaged in a month and married by Christmas. Those stories sound incredibly sexy. And I love, like, when it works out, I'm really happy for it. But the deeper we get in, we're like, oh, yeah, this is, this is not what we thought. And this takes work. And I think it's beautiful work when it's for the right person. But yeah, don't look at anyone's timeline as uh, an indicator of what your timeline should be. Okay, off track. But I remember, oh dang it, the tangent was so good. We didn't ran across town. We're in another city, whole new state, still going before you get to the point. Okay, I'm gonna try to just talk my way through it and hopefully we find our way back home. Okay, so I think when it comes to dating and cultural norms, you have to give yourself grace in terms of what you think you want and what you actually need. And yeah, that comes with time. So just stating upfront your expectations because the timeline, there we go. The timeline will always like be a little, I don't know, men get to kind of dictate the timeline. So you as a woman have to say, if this person doesn't match my timeline, let me keep going. And if you are a woman and you feel in your prime, beyond your prime, I don't care what age you are or how you feel about yourself, understand that like you are the one that adds to, again, heterosexual relationship, the man's life, more than the man adds to yours. And I don't say that as a slight, but I say this as like someone who just saw the stats. And I was like, oh, statistically speaking, the highest demographic of women that are happiest in the world are single, unmarried, and child free. So like like the highest standard of happiness for women. And it goes down a notch each time. Like, okay, you get married, it goes down a notch. You have kids, it goes down a notch. So just saying from that standpoint, statistically, if you want to stay the happiest for the longest amount of times, it's better to be single, unmarried, and child free. Don't cancel me. It's just the stats. It's just the stats. Okay. So understand that women, it's biblical, but we are multipliers. We add to a man's life. We are nurturers. We are caretakers. We are all the things. Okay. So be picky and don't let your standards feel like impossible because there are so many men as well that would love to be in your presence. And this is something that I realized when I started going to countries where the men were choosing me. Okay, so dating apps. I, you might not want to, but I highly recommend dating apps. I have a digital dating guide that I don't know if I still have it at my shop, but if I do, I'll put it in the description. It was probably the best way that you can actually have a quality chance at meeting your person. So again, going back to the phrase, choose who chooses you, there's a feature on most dating apps where you can pay and people will say, oh, it's a scam to pay for, I don't know, for love or to pay for apps, but I think it just saves you time. I will pay for convenience every single time. And if I can conveniently cut through these 1,000 matches that I wouldn't give a chance to, I will. And so I paid for the feature where the only men that showed up on my dashboard on the dating apps were men that already swiped right on me. So I'm not going through swiping on men and saying, oh, he's, decent. I hope he chooses me. Oh, he's okay. I hope I get to met. I'm only swiping through candidates that are already in line. That gives me the power to be like, okay, I already know if I swipe right on this, conversation's going to get started. Is this someone that I'm willing to have a conversation with in person? And I needed their profile to be filled out with enough information for me to dictate, I feel safe to meet with this person in daylight and have coffee and I would feel good. And my barometer for dating, I was like, attraction had to come last. Availability, alignment, attraction. Are you available? Are you single? God. Lord, the world we live in. Okay. Are you single, but are you emotionally available? Like, are you ready to do the work required to get in a long-term partnership? And I wasn't even looking for a husband right off the bat. I was looking for a man that I could trust because so many of the men that I was hearing about, seeing, friends that were getting divorces, there was so much cheating and betrayal happening. I was like, I just need to learn how to trust men again because that's how low the bar was. I'm like, I don't see many good husbands in the world right now, in the movies, on shows. Mind you, that's the media and it's entertainment, but I was like, I need to feel like there are still good men out there. So do I see you as a friend that I would have a fun conversation with? Okay, so that's availability. Alignment. Do your values match? Are you a Christian? Are you a believer? Are you someone that has a passport? Do you love to travel? Are you kind? Are you loyal? Are you, I don't know, just basic, what feels like basic traits, because I can work around the personality quirks. We all are quirky in our own way. I don't need you to be, oh, Captain Chivalry and or Captain I don't need you to be Prince Charming or this super chivalrous person. I need you to be like a quality human that, yeah, I would be proud to introduce you to friends and family. And then attraction. Funny enough, I actually, it took me a few months to fully feel attracted to Stefan. And we've talked about this openly on my page that I also did a podcast, Shan Boudram. Check her out, Lovers and Friends podcast. But I needed that actually. Like I needed to not be super physically attracted from the jump because what happens? Then it becomes a lustful connection. And now it's all about sexual tension. And now you're like, oh, okay, can we go a few more weeks without, doing anything? And I was like, I really want to keep myself and my body as pure as possible. I know purity culture, there's a whole thing, but I still have the belief that the longer you wait to have sex with someone, um, the more emotionally intimate the relationship can go. And I do feel like you get further intellectually and spiritually with someone without putting your bodies on top of each other. That's gross. I, sorry, we're moving on. I think you can get far with someone without getting to home base. Maybe call me old school, I don't know, but and this is I wasn't always like this, but just from experience, I just think that's my better relationships came when I delayed that part. So yeah, at the end of the day, we also are human. So I also understand that. Yeah, so I think if you are single, traveling and dating can be one of the most fun things that you do. Because then, let's say you meet someone and you kind of just like you join adventures. Maybe they're in the country and they're just kind of taking it a day at a time, and you join their adventures for a week, and you kind of get to see what it feels like to actually be their girlfriend. And I think that's really cute. And our second date, which is kind of funny, but Stefan and I, we did a 10-day um, road trip in Cyprus. And the New Year's, we brought in New Year's together in Cyprus. And I think that was such a beautiful way to like continue our connection because it gave us a chance to kind of see what would life look like if we were living the version that, yeah, like is would be our aspired reality. And it's us renting a villa in a random country, in a random island, and just living life. We'd wake up, we'd journal, we'd meditate, we'd do our work. This is before we had our company together, so we individually work and we'd go out to a nice restaurant to eat and we'd explore some historic site and we'd come home and he would cook dinner. Like it was so dreamy and it was so quaint. It wasn't anything elaborate, fancy, or glamorous. Oh, and we'd watch the sunset on our rooftop. It was just so cozy. And I was like, yeah, I could do this. Like, this is a life that I could see myself living. So, yeah, I say all that to say um, you never know who you could end up with unless you open yourself up to people that you don't see on a regular basis. And when I think about it, people would talk about, marrying for a green card and, to get legal residency in the US, but now y'all, you better look at their passport because pretty soon it's going to be stronger than America's. So yeah, it does open you up. And last thing I'll say, and this is just for like Black women that are wanting to date, you'd be surprised at how how do I say this without just saying it? In many countries, we are the beauty standard. And this took me a long time to realize. I did not grow up feeling like Black skin was a standard in anyone's beauty scale. It was far and few between where you saw like a Black woman being the lead in a movie that was mainstream, not Medea, but like a mainstream rom-com. You did not see a Black female lead. And if you did, you saw her with a Black man. And so again, I couldn't even envision myself with someone white until I was hit on by white men. And not just white men, but just men around the world. And I had to like sit with, you know, I had to sit with like the confusion of even feeling desired because I was like, oh, they're not looking at me. And so who can I connect you with? Because I see that you're staring, but I feel confused because I don't feel desirable. So let me find who you're looking for. Oh, okay, it's just trees behind me. So it's me. And you're citing me your number. And, so you might be shocked to see that you will get hit on more in other countries than probably in the US. This is if you identify with being a quirky Black girl. Um, yeah, our beauty is like, we don't need to be, I don't know, you could see like the Black women that are maybe they wear a lot of makeup, their hair is a specific way, their body type is a specific way, and maybe their clothing, the way they dress is very specific. You might think that that's the standard of beauty in our community, but abroad, regular, degular Black girls like me are like causing traffic. And when I'm with Stefan and he sees it, he's like, men will walk up to him like, damn, you lucky. Yeah, I see the looks. I see the nods. I see they dab each other like, wow. And they'll say to me like, super, oh, super, my gosh. Like, your husband's a lucky man. They'll just walk up to me with thumbs up. And don't I know it now? So yeah, your confidence will raise when you travel because you realize, oh, I- I'm not ugly. I was just in the wrong country. Yeah. All right. Here is where you can go for more videos like this. I'm doing a video every single day for a year. So join the binge and get lost in all the sauce. And everywhere else, you can see what to do. Thank you for watching. I will see you tomorrow.